Good evening, Macau, and our friends from the World Wide Web. I'm Herbert Ramos, and you're watching TDM's nightly English news report. Here's what's going on locally and internationally as well. This morning, Macau and the central government signed an additional supplement to the CEPA agreement. This new agreement will exempt more products from exportation tariffs from the mainland and paves its way for a complete exemption. 2 years ago, Macau and the mainland signed a closer economic partnership agreement, or CEPA. CEPA exempts Macau from customs tariffs derived from exports directed to the mainland. This morning, Macau's Secretary for Economy and Finance and the Chinese Deputy Minister for Trade have signed new additional clauses to the agreement. The document will expand the CEPA to cover new services such as construction, banking, and juridical services, plus an additional 91 new products. The document signed this morning also paves the way for more diversified products involved with the CEPA. It establishes the committee that, from here onwards, will submit new goods derived from these agreements. The agreement is quite similar with the one the mainland signed with Hong Kong. In the press conference, Francis Tam reiterated that the CEPA agreement benefits more of Hong Kong due to its trade and services-based economy. But he added that these new additional clauses might encourage Macau to diversify its economy. He pointed out that Macau is mainly interested in developing its economic relationships with the Portuguese-speaking countries. With the analogy, the local government is planning to pass laws to avoid double taxation within the products from these countries heading for the mainland. The delegation from the city of Guayang from the mainland held a meeting to promote trade and investment ventures this morning at the MIF gathering. According to Jasmine Chung, our news correspondent, they hope that this activity could attract more of Macau and overseas entrepreneurs to invest in Guayang, as well as encourage a reciprocal use of resources between both our regions.
The mayor of Guayang City, Yun Zhou, addressed the meeting and said that they are taking the initiatives of participating in the MIF as an important step to achieve their goals. The city of Guayang is currently rich in mineral deposits and impacted with beautiful sceneries. For the time being, more than 30 countries and regions have endorsed several of their business activities in Guayang. Moreover, its municipal government wants to expand its trade relationships between Guayang and Macau. Mr. Yun Zhou points out that since having joined the CEPA and the 9+2 agreement, they have worked much more closely with the Pearl River Delta region's underlying territories. The delegation put forward nearly 50 specific projects for investments, including the reformation of state enterprises, as more than 3.3 billion renminbi are expected to be circulated in its wake.
More local updates. A British business delegation is in Macau looking for partnerships and business opportunities in the environmental protection industry. Meanwhile, the director of the Environmental Council said Macau should guarantee its development of being environmental friendly. A British delegation for their second day has been staying in Macau. All the companies of the delegation provide environmental services in the UK. They are in Macau as part of a series of events promoting business partnerships.
A whole range of environmental technologies here. The UK has had its own environmental problems to resolve and have developed a lot of technologies in resolving those. We want to work in partnership with all our customers and are keen to work in partnership in Macau. We have consultancy services on a range of environmental matters. We have specialist technologies for renewable energy, for energy efficiency, for hazardous waste treatment, and for monitoring air quality and improving air quality. And I think all these areas have proved beneficial in the UK, and what I've seen of the lovely city of Macau also may be of benefit here.
This morning, this business delegation held a workshop about the possible environmental solutions for the Macau market. The Macau's director for the environment was present in the workshop. He clarified that the development of the region should be sustained. Lionel Yong said that the construction of infrastructures has been a part of daily lives concerning the Macau people. This raises the urgency of awareness in their behalf to deal with the problem, alleviating the objectives of being an environmental-friendly society. The Statistics and Census Bureau have released a number of visitors that covers the last month of September. In September alone, more than 1,400,000 people entered the territory, giving it an 11% boost in terms of tourism as compared to last year's equal period. More than half of these figures come from mainland China. According to the official data, in the first 9 months of this year, more than 13 million people entered Macau. This signifies a 13% growth as compared to the latter year. Meanwhile, in news overseas, the European Union adopts fresh measures to fight bird flu, urging states to keep wild flocks away from poultry. The EU also bans live birds from markets or exhibitions without permission. As it says, a committee of EU veterinary experts had agreed on the measures, including recommendations for protecting birds in zoos and the extension of a ban on imports of pet birds and feathers from many regions in Russia.
While human deaths from avian flu can be measured in dozens, the attrition rate among birds themselves is tens of thousands and rising. A truckload of chickens from Greece, where a case of bird flu has been confirmed, was stopped at the Albanian border because of unconfirmed fears of contamination. Eventually it was decided to bury the birds alive, although as the carcasses were not disinfected, this may have created more problems than it solved. The outbreak in Greece prompted EU health ministers to issue new rules banning live birds from markets and protecting birds in zoos. In Rome, vets gave their birds a thorough health check and they passed with flying colours. But there are loopholes in any legislation, and not just because migrating birds do not observe national borders.
Illegal bird trafficking could pose a serious risk, since there are no controls and they don't go through quarantine. In my opinion, it should be forbidden.
Precautions have taken on a new urgency since Thailand announced a 48-year-old man had died from the H5N1 virus. Martin Bignold, Reuters.
Swiss drug maker Roche is allowing generic versions of Tamiflu. The pharmaceutical firm has agreed to license the antiviral medication to other companies. Roche Pharmaceuticals, which holds exclusive rights to the antiviral agent, has also agreed not to increase the price of sublicenses. The World Health Organization has recommended that countries prepare for a possible pandemic of bird flu by stockpiling antiviral treatments such as Tamiflu.
A major pharmaceutical firm is taking a proactive role in preventing the possibility of a bird flu pandemic. Swiss drug maker Roche announced Thursday that it will sub-license versions of the company's antiviral drug Tamiflu to any company that can produce it.
It's a win for the citizens of America and the world, because it means that within a few months we will have much more Tamiflu available than if Roche was producing it itself.
Roche has also agreed to meet with 4 generic manufacturers willing to produce stockpiles of Tamiflu. Tamiflu has proven to be the most effective drug in treating bird flu, a virus that has killed more than 60 people since late 2003, all of them in Asia. Health officials have warned the virus could mutate into a form that can be easily passed between humans, possibly triggering a global pandemic, which could kill millions. John Decker, Reuters.
A lawyer for one of Saddam Hussein's co-defendants is found dead. Sadoun Nasawaf al-Hanabi was kidnapped by gunmen on Thursday, a day after the trial was adjourned. He was acting for Awad al-Bandar, a former top Iraqi judge, and was one of the few lawyers to address the court. He said the defense had not enough time to study the evidence. Police say al-Hanabi's body was found shortly after he was abducted. He had been shot in the head and chest.
Iraqi police say one of the lawyers involved in Saddam Hussein's trial has been shot dead. Sadoun Nasawaf al-Hanabi was kidnapped by several gunmen who stormed his office in Baghdad. He was acting for one of the former Iraqi leader's co-defendants. Nobody's claimed responsibility for the killing. Al-Hanabi was abducted a day after the trial was adjourned until the end of November. Saddam Hussein and the 7 other defendants pleaded not guilty to charges of ordering the killing of more than 140 Shiite men in 1982. They could all face the death penalty if they're convicted. Claire Pride, Reuters.
Economic growth in Germany's Europe's largest economy will barely improve in 2006 after slowing significantly this year. According to the country's 6 leading economic think tanks, economists are forecasting that unemployment will stay close to 5 million and that consumers will remain reluctant to spend. High energy costs are restricting Germany's consumer power. Lack of growth in consumer spending looks to remain the weak point in Europe's largest economy.
To be no end to the doom and gloom in Germany. The country's most important research institutes are expecting growth in Europe's biggest economy to remain low.
The economic outlook for Germany is still rather meager. For this year we expect a growth of GDP of 0.8%, for the next year of 1.2%.
However, the German government argues that this is positive news. The economic growth outlook of just over 1% for next year stands in stark contrast to the US, which is expected to expand by nearly 3 times as much, and China, which is forecast to grow 7.5 times as much in 2006. If it weren't for the strength of other countries, Germany's economy would be in a shambles. Growth comes predominantly from the strength in its exports, especially cars and sophisticated machinery. High energy costs are restricting Germany's consumer power. Lack of growth in consumer spending looks to remain the weak point in Europe's largest economy. Merlin Kuhne, Reuters.
Here's something interesting. A Japanese Buddhist goes underground to meditate and pray for peace. Yogmata Japaki entered an underground chamber in the central Indian city of Guayang in front of a huge crowd. Devotees prayed and sang in her honor. Japaki plans to meditate underground for 72 hours and go without food or water.
Mata Japaki waves to the crowd before climbing into the underground chamber in India, where she plans to spend 3 days. The Japanese Buddhist is cutting herself off from the world to meditate and pray for peace. She's not taking water or food with her, and she's already fasted for 2 days as part of her preparation for Samadhi, a state of complete meditation practiced by Buddhists and Hindus.
Samadhi is part of an Indian tradition. People have come here to see if a Japanese woman can meditate like this.
A huge crowd, including devotees from Britain and Russia, gathered in the central city of Guayang to show their support for Japaki.
To know what Samadhi is, you have to come to India, because elsewhere they don't understand these things. They are oblivious to meditation.
4 years ago, another Japanese holy woman also travelled to India to perform a similar ritual. Claire Pride, Reuters.
And before I go underground with food and water, here's the weather forecast for Saturday, the 22nd of this month. It will remain relatively dry and fine, apart from some cloudy periods with moderate to fresh north to northeasterly winds. The minimum temperature is situated at around 22 degrees centigrade and settled at 28 degrees Celsius. That was the weather, and those were our stories. I will see you again this Sunday, as Victoria will be taking charge tomorrow night at the same time. You do stay safe, and have a good night.